What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new, why don't you subscribe? We would appreciate it. New videos every Wednesday, hopefully. Might take a Christmas break. Still saying about that. But, today we will be ranking all Arrowverse lowest rated episodes by, the rating on IMDb. And if you're confused by anything on this list, drop a comment, I will respond. Also comment, just a comment if you want. But, now, in that case, let's get into this video. See you.
Nothing. I broke a bottle over some loser's head.
You've been acting kind of different.
In Flash, you know best, right? And every great man is a woman rolling her eyes. I don't need you to save me.
No Flash. New episode next Tuesday at 8/7.
This episode was the worst episode of The Flash that we've had in years. They tried to do a Valentine's Day episode, and they also brought back two of the worst characters ever to appear in the show, Aminette, Bo-Katan Kryze, and Goldface, Thanos, from the Avengers first one. But this episode only had one redeeming thing, where it's, at the end, Daddy likes the metal. So, Nora, whatever her last name is, it's in the title, she took Commissioner, she, mind controlled someone to get her way, so now she's, the Commissioner of Gotham City, and only, women are the police now, or something. This episode is very stupid, but it's from the best season of Batman, so it's a bad episode in a bunch of good episodes.
Mysteriously disappeared. It divided the city. Some see fear, others hope. I see the freedom to be myself, to play by my own rules. I spent 15 years searching for a place I fit, and I finally found it.
Batwoman, new series Sunday, October 6th, and stream free.
This episode wasn't good at all. It was very crappy, even for pilots. You have to make the pilot good so that your show can get picked up. And now we're just gonna have to go through a whole new explanation for season 2. But this episode is just not good. I do not like it. I don't like how she finds the Batcave. I don't like most stuff about this episode. I don't really remember this episode, but it has to be better than the other ones. I think this is the one with Jennifer and Khalil on the bus, and I like that conversation, which gives this a point. Black Lightning Season 2 and 1 aren't the best seasons. They're really bad. But, oh no, this episode had to be better than the last two.
Candide, huh? She's hot.
What did you say?
I mean, she sells lots of records. More cash for us to grab, you know.
Wouldn't want to think you was blowing me off for some singer.
Hey, don't talk dumb. You're my homegirl. You think I'd blow that?
Wouldn't want to be you if you did.
This episode is just really bad. So there's Hot Streak and the Water Lady, and they team up, or they're it's just really stupid. But at the end, the Water Lady gets a cure, and she goes back to being human and is in jail.
Two-ball event. Two allies. Approval contest.
Yes?
Okay. A fight to the death. An all-new two-ball event. Birds of Prey on the WB web.
This episode was, I don't like this. It's a mid-season premiere, and they have like Dinah and Helena fighting in like a cage fight for something. It's just very stupid. Gladrix. This episode's very bad. Don't watch the 2002 Birds of Prey show. It's bad.
Luck was with us when they got away. With Casey's scanners.
This episode was actually kind of alright. It's just, the Green Hornet and Kato, or I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry. But, like, there aren't any aliens, they're just, dudes in shiny suits with helmets that are, like, weird glued-on eyes. It's weird. But it's the 60s.
Before the equipment crashed.
What's happening to me? While the city goes crazy, so does Barry's metabolism.
I can't believe it was over so quickly. After all that anticipation, why bother?
20 bucks for a fight that's over in 2 rounds.
The question is, which will blow up first?
No more games. I want you to build a...
This episode was, good. I enjoyed it. There was only, one thing that was wrong with it. Not one thing. The villain was bad.
Johnson kicks out to Barry at the top of the key. He shoots, and the Marauders score again!
This episode was the, 4th episode of the whole entire show. So they were still trying to find their footing and where to go. I think the premises for this episode is pretty good. Sorry, that was my water bottle. I think the premises for this episode is pretty good, but the execution is not that good. It's pretty boring because John's gonna be Green Lantern for the rest of the show.
For an evening of special tribute. So if there is any call for their super services tonight...
This episode isn't that bad. It's 1 out of 2 episodes. It's the series finale, season finale, mid-season premiere, last fill-in episode appearance. But, it's just the supervillains roasting the heroes. Some of the jokes are funny, some are not. This episode was just okay.
Walt doesn't just hurt.
Of course we want you to be one of us.
Shut up, Clark. You talk too much.
It bites.
There's no such thing as vampires.
I don't know what was going on this episode. There was a pack of vampires, and they turned Lana into a vampire, and like after she bit Clark, she got like Clark's powers or something, but she couldn't remember what happened that day. This is the stupidest episode, and it's the worst episode. Well, I could think of worse episodes, but this is pretty bad.
I think this old swamp hates you even more than I do. I heard you were on your way in. I spoke with the hospital. They said you'd barely been there.
There's a man in the swamp who's very sick.
Does Miracle Man have a name?
Oh. That's why I've ordered a fully equipped mobile biological lab. You'll have everything you need ready when the specimen is located.
I'll be totally honest. I don't remember what happened in this episode. Obviously, I did when I created this list a couple weeks ago, but now I do not. But, the girl who voices Catwoman, BJAS, and the whole DCAU is on this episode, so that's pretty cool. But, otherwise, I'd say this episode sucked, like, all of Swamp Thing.
Impressive, isn't it? I knew about advances in unmanned weaponry, but this is...
This episode, it has problems, man. I was born a couple months after JLU ended, so I was old enough to have the reruns on Cartoon Network, and even being 4, 5, 3, not 3, 4, and 5, I still remember this episode sucking. This episode's pretty bad. It's just a bad premise. It's just stupid. Ares is good, but the rest is just stupid.
You're back. Great.
How could you go home without me?
I'm not Lucifer!
Lucifer told me he had a twin brother.
Nice to meet you. I'm Michael. I am not going to break Lucifer's life. I'm going to take it. He is stronger than you think.
What do you truly desire?
When I heard they were doing a 40s, like, musical episode, I got excited, because I like musicals, and I like, black and white stuff. I don't really have a problem with it. But this episode was just really disappointing. I expected the writers of Lucifer to do something better than this. I hope, the actual musical episode later this season, is better. This episode isn't really that bad. It's just a group of kids who, are basically playing VR, but it's like, but this rich dude stole a nerd's script. Oh, I see what's wrong with it now. But, this is a pretty good episode of Batman Beyond. I don't get why it's the worst rated. I can think of many that are worse.
You step into my world, you'll be staring down demons, devils, and the like. Shall we then? Each one of these stigmata represents a place where something bad is going down. Anyone in here still alive? Preferably not possessed and feeling peckish. We're gonna send it back to hell where it belongs. People around me die. We do this, and there's no going back. Whistles up to ward off evil. My wits. Something's forcing evil to the surface, and unless I can stop it, the world will change forever. This gets more fun by the second.
This episode was the episode out after the pilot, and besides John and Chas, nothing really carried over from the pilot. This episode was just there to mainly introduce Zed, which it's an okay episode by itself, but it's just like nothing carried over from the beginning. We're starting over in the season.
Why'd you choose her to be the new Captain Midnight, Dr. Midnight?
I want to hit something all of the time.
This is beyond exciting.
Out of a great show, even when this episode got aired, I thought it was the worst episode of the season. This episode was just kind of disappointing after. I feel Wildcat is the best episode of the show so far. And coming after this episode coming after that was a little disappointing in how they didn't give Rick and Beth their own episodes, but now I get it since the season's over.
This is a mercy killing on a global scale. I know that this city has been through tough times before. We will survive this.
This episode is a bad finale, I'll give it that. But I like Oliver's speech, like, telling the crowd, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know word for word, but I like the crowd fighting the whole Star City.
I'll say again, ladies and gentlemen, not since man put two slices of bread on either side of a hunk of meat has there been anything as exciting as what you are going to see here today.
This episode, Critters, it's a pretty good episode of the new Batman adventures. This is Maddie from Watchtower Database's favorite episode of the DCAU, and go check out their channel, Watchtower Database. They make some great videos. But this episode's pretty good. Giant bugs and Farmer Brown. This episode, it has basically 4 stories. My favorite one is about the little kid, babysitting the cat, but he thinks the cat went up the chimney, except it just went through a hole in the wall, so he tears down the whole wall, including the chimney, and puts it back together, but by the time the parents come home, the wall falls back down. And also, this episode is very nostalgic for me.
This kid's like a baby Hitler. This kid will one day be responsible for billions of deaths. We killed little Lord Fauntleroy.
There's got to be a better way.
I could use your help. This isn't about killing. It's about saving. DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
So, the Legends have to travel into the future to kill, Vandal Savage's progeny, who turns out to be a 13-year-old kid, who in the future turns out to start, like, World War III. But, this episode is actually pretty good once, you rewatch it. I rewatched Legends in, like, March, and this episode's pretty good.
And we let evil win. When the horrific becomes our new reality.
I keep having these dreams about being killed by Deathstroke. And they're not going away. We need to do something about them.
Deathstroke! Get down!
I told you what would happen if the Titans ever reunited.
Tik?
Things are getting super ugly out here.
We started this. It's all us now.
I admit there are a lot of flaws in this episode. It feels like there's a whole episode missing between the last one and this one. Slade dying within the first 14 minutes. Actually, after he died, I paused it. And Donna dying for no reason. But otherwise than that, I really like this episode. I don't know why. I love the Nightwing suit mostly. That suit's pretty good.
When I feel anxious, I want to punch things. Easy cake. I'm going to be doing my job, and I'm going to be doing it well.
Supergirl. New episodes Sunday, March.
This episode, it was one of my favorite episodes of Supergirl last year. I don't know, I just like the idea of Supergirl being a bodyguard. And, an alien attacking a newspaper place because her husband died due to, like, I forgot, but it involves something about the newspaper. But this episode, it's a really, really good episode. Underrated. This episode it's a pretty good episode of STAS, Superman the Animated Series. Involves a giant monkey. That was Lois's pet as a kid. And these more childish episodes I actually enjoy them pretty, more than, like, the serious episodes. I really love, the late Mr. Kent, Apocalypse Now, and that type of stuff, but this episode's pretty good, too. This episode is, my favorite episode, one of my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Two kids follow an eagle, and it leads them to Penguin fighting Batman, and they steal the Batmobile and take Batman home to try to help him, but, Penguin finds out, and Batman has to save the day in the end, and it's a really cool story. Go watch the episode, it's really good.
Oh, this rambling, dreary tower will never do. My little ones must be surrounded by sugar and spice and everything nice. Shoes on the...
This episode is actually a really good episode of Teen Titans. It comes before, the whole Trigon finale in Season 4. But I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoy the Teen Titans Go parody of this episode. But, this episode was really creative and outside the box for Teen Titans. You'd usually see something like this in Teen Titans Go. I love this episode.
Dorothy needs help. She can't hold back the candle maker. You have no idea what we're up against. Whenever you're ready.
This episode, even though it wasn't meant to be the finale for Doom Patrol Season 2, I thought it was amazing. The whole Jane subplot in this episode, and, it's just really good. And Cliff fights Jesus. By the end, the Doom Patrol fails, and Niles is about to die, so Dorothy has to go with Candlemaker. Well, that's it. I hope you guys like the video. Actually like it. The socials are in the description. I hope, Dakota, I hope this was loud enough for you. If you get to this last part, comment the dignity of teeth. That's the episode of Teen Titans Go I'm on right now. Now, I think that's all I have to say. Subscribe, I hope you, that's all. I'm gonna stop talking. I'll give you, some time to choose a new video to watch.